In 1983, the North American video game market collapsed so violently that analysts and critics declared the entire medium a passing fad. This line graph maps out the scale of the financial devastation. Over a span of 2 years, home video game revenue in the U.S. plummeted 97%, dropping from a peak of $3.2 billion down to roughly $100 million. Atari, the market leader at the time, allowed independent developers total freedom to release software. Retail shelves quickly filled with poor quality games, which suffocated consumer trust and stopped console sales entirely. When Nintendo arrived in 1985 with the Nintendo Entertainment System, they installed a physical lockout chip inside the hardware. Third-party developers now had to pass quality controls for their games to run on the system. Nintendo then paired this hardware lockdown with the continuous side-scrolling mechanics of Super Mario Bros. Super Mario Bros. Proved that rigorous technical standards could rebuild the console market. From that point on, Nintendo used Mario as a permanent test subject, assigning the character to solve the industry's most complex engineering problems. 10 years later, the industry hit another barrier. There were no established camera systems or jumping physics to reference for a character moving in a 3D environment. In 1996, the rules for navigating a fully three-dimensional space simply didn't exist. To figure out how 3D polygon skinning would respond to player input, an English programmer named Giles Goddard started running experimental tests in Nintendo's Kyoto office. Goddard attached painted ping-pong balls to his face to build a makeshift motion capture rig. He fed that tracking data through a Silicon Graphics indie workstation, mapping his physical expressions directly onto a 3D model of Mario's head. While Goddard manipulated the model, director Shigeru Miyamoto and programmer Takumi Kawagoe tackled the movement problem. They programmed a dynamic virtual camera that acted as a physical entity within the game world, which players controlled using the new analog stick on the Nintendo 64 controller. By linking a responsive, in-game virtual camera to an analog input, Nintendo established the control scheme that dictates 3D spatial navigation across the wider video game industry today. The physics algorithms developed for those early 3D environments had limits. Standard game engines applied gravity as a uniform downward force, locking players onto a flat, linear y-axis. This 3D vector model illustrates the programming leap required for 2007's Super Mario Galaxy. To allow players to run around curved planetoids, engineers discarded the standard vertical axis for point gravity algorithms, pulling Mario toward the center. These vectors evolved to inform Mario Kart 8, letting vehicles drive upside down and replacing standard physics with a unique speed modifier. The Mario franchise applies this same strategy of absorption to its corporate structure. When Hudson Soft, the original developer of Mario Party, began to struggle financially, Nintendo recruited their key designers, moving those experts into a subsidiary named N-Cube, ensuring the series continued without interruption. By moving these veterans, Nintendo ensures franchise expertise persists even when original development studios collapse. By 2023, Mario's influence expanded into Hollywood. The Super Mario Bros. Movie became the first film of that year to gross $1 billion, securing the largest global debut for an animated film in history. A theatrical hit of that magnitude creates a specific pressure. For guaranteed sales, the video game division could have simply copied the movie's visual style for their next console release. Instead, the developers of Super Mario Bros. Wonder ignored the movie's visual template. They built a highly expressive, separate 2D animation style, pushing the mechanics into an independent artistic direction. This focus on mechanical updates continues to produce results. In November of that same year, a 3D remake of the 1996 Super Mario RPG launched on the Switch. It introduced modern features and sold 3.14 million units in just 6 weeks, surpassing the lifetime sales of the original. Mario has maintained a global presence for 40 years by serving as a constant R&D platform, using each technical shift to refine how a character moves through digital space.